Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Got another 2024 rookie content show here for you. I'm going to be joined by Corey Pereira, one of my favorite draft analysts out there. Corey and I have been doing shows like this for years. He's back on the channel and we're going to give you some undervalued or underrated players. We know the guys at the top. We know the top 5 of each position, and we're going to go a little deeper here on this show. We're going to give you 4 names that we're going to be targeting late, probably second round rookie picks, maybe third round rookie picks, depending on where their draft capital is. But we're going to give you 4 names, kind of go over their scouting reports, why we think that they're undervalued. So you play Dynasty, you play Fantasy, you're looking for a YouTube channel out there that's going to give you some good details on the 2024 rookies and beyond. Hit that subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Trying to grow the channel. Enjoy the show. Hey, Corey, man, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to have you on. You are always on the channel during rookie season, man. Great to have you on the show.
No, I appreciate you bringing me on. We're definitely getting to that time of the offseason where it feels like a little prospect fatigue is starting to fit in. Guys are picking apart these guys like crazy and finding problems that aren't there, or creating problems, or thinking people are better than they actually are. It's a wild time in the offseason, but it's also a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to looking at a few underrated players
Yeah,
this cycle.
I couldn't have said it better myself. We do have fatigue. You and I, we've been playing Devy for years, right? We've been watching these
Mhm.
players for 2 or 3 years, and here we are finally at the NFL draft in a month or two. Well, yeah, Corey and I, we're going to talk about 2 players each that we think are a little underrated, maybe undervalued. Either way, players that maybe we like a little bit more than consensus, and kind of give you an overview of why we feel that way. And I'm going to start us off. I'm going to talk about Jaylen Polk from Washington. And Corey, I'm going to give you a pass as a guest on this show because I listened to your Devy podcast this morning
Oh
exercising. And
no.
oh, yes. And you trashed Jaylen Polk. And I said to
I
myself, yeah,
trash.
yeah,
Okay, all right, go ahead.
all right. Maybe you didn't trash him, but you had basically said, we're heading into the combine, everybody. It's the week of the combine, right? And my good friend here, Corey, and I said, you know what? I'm not changing my position as much as I value your opinion. I'm going to stick with my Polk play. All right, he's 6'2", 204-pound receiver. He is a senior, right? And as you said on your podcast, would we even know about Jaylen Polk if McMillan hadn't gotten hurt, right? Well, maybe not, but I still like his skill set. His career statistics are on the screen, guys. You can see the player card on there. His PFF stats, aren't great. And I'm not liking Jaylen Polk here as a player who I feel as though is going to be, a round 2 draft pick, right? He's going to be a late day, round 3, early day 3. But I like what I see with Jaylen Polk maybe a little bit more than most people. I think he's got some outstanding ball skills. I've watched 3 or 4 all 22 films on this kid. I've got videos on this YouTube channel of him. And I think he's just could potentially be a really, really good possession receiver in the NFL, right? He's not going to be the most explosive player. But I think there's a lot of players after the top 2 or 3 wide receivers in this class that, people are expecting to be explosive, but that maybe they're not. And I think Jaylen Polk is going to end up being kind of closer to, as those players fall, a player who I think is going to get maybe a little better draft capital than we think. But what do I like about his skill set? I think he's got fantastic ball skills and hands. He is a physical player. And Corey, you know me and physicality when it comes to players. This guy is tough. He can win over the middle of the field. He's got some vertical ability as well. And I think he can win all over the field. Now, I don't think he's got the best release package. And I know that's if you look at other scouting reports, and I've seen it myself on the film. I mean, is he going to be able to be an early separator at the line of scrimmage facing press? Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that for about 80% of the wide receivers in this draft class, as much as we like it, and it is a deep class, that is what makes or breaks a lot of these wide receivers. But I think that when he can create a little bit of separation, if he can be used properly in an NFL offense, I think this guy can win and could be a great possession receiver in the NFL. Like I said, he is not going to be the most explosive playmaker out there. But, you're talking about guys like Keon Coleman and, Brian Thomas Jr. And, a lot of these guys that win vertical, but, winning one-on-one at the line of scrimmage, I still think for players like that, it's still, yet to be seen if they can do that. I like what I've seen from Jaylen Polk. I think he could be an early, like round 4 guy. In our rookie drafts, I think he could be a solid late round 2, a solid round 3 player. I'm excited to see where he lands. He's just down like on, you can look here on the screen at mockdraftdatabase.com. He's at number 53 with a peak of 41. So he's on that cusp of a round 3, round 4 draft prospect. I like what I see with Jaylen Polk.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't disagree with you, especially with the analysis and knowing how much you enjoy physicality in your game. Like, I can see the reasons you like him, and I see the way he translates to the NFL. I mean, to defend myself a bit, that show was about the combine, and I don't, like you said, you don't think he's the most explosive player. That's a guy I feel like might disappoint at the combine if people are expecting a high time or a good agility drills or whatever. Like, I don't know, I not a ton of separation there, but still, he still wins in a lot of ways that are going to translate to the NFL. So I still don't hate the pick there. I will piggyback off you here. And I want to talk about a different Washington wide receiver, the one you mentioned before, Jaylen McMillan, who spent a lot of time hurt this year. Only appeared in 7 games this year, but last year finished as a 1,000-yard receiver as a sophomore. Only 50, or not a sophomore, I guess, as a redshirt sophomore. Only finished behind 50 yards behind Rome Odunze last year. Finished that year strong. Only had 1 game of less than 98 yards in the last 4 weeks. He carried that into this year. First week, 11 touches, 114 yards, 3 touchdowns in week 1. Week 2, 8 grabs for 120 yards and a touchdown. Then week 3, catches 4 balls for 96 yards and then gets hurt. Then we didn't see him for like the next 4 weeks. Then, he came back down the stretch. Didn't seem to really be like 100% healthy, but really wanted to contribute to that playoff run. Snuck like an 130-yard performance in there against Oregon. But because of all that missed time, like the recency bias kind of made McMillan like the forgotten man. I think last year people were having legitimate debates about, do I want Rome Odunze more or do I want Jaylen McMillan more? Like kind of leaving that season. Now, I will say Rome took like some big steps forward this year. He really winning above the rim. Like this isn't a Rome Odunze show, but he looked fantastic this year. So I'm not trying to say that they're on the same level still, but I still think McMillan is a very versatile player. Like, played outside in high school, started his collegiate career on the outside before moving inside to the slot now in Kalen DeBoer's new system for these past 2 years. Used as a wildcat quarterback, used in the end around game, in the screen game. Very good with the ball in his hands as a yak guy. There's even some deep shots there. Use at all 3 levels of the field. He has that versatility. I just think that he shows to me some shades of like a Chris Godwin type, and what he's done for the Bucs throughout his career. Similar size guy, similar usage. Like prior to this year, Godwin was seeing a majority of his snaps come out of the slot, a little bit less this year, but still, he's the kind of guy that has that size, can still play above the rim a little bit, and used versatility inside and out. And I think for that reason, he's also one of the easier like plug and play options in this draft, who could get on the field like pretty easily than what some people might think. And maybe like the same ceiling isn't there as a lot of players, but if he ends up with some capital like outside of day 2, which consensus boards have him about 99 right now, I believe, on mock draft database. I think he's a guy who can outplay that draft capital. And for me, the minute you hit that 3rd round, like he becomes an immediate smash for me, which is that's the area he's going right now. And I think any of these guys you're really pumped about getting to the 3rd round, like that's an easy smash pick for me there.
Yeah, I mean, you get 3rd round draft capital for a wide receiver, you're pretty solid, right? I mean, you go back and look at history, round 4.5 to 5 and later, it doesn't look so good. So yeah, we're going to be both banking for both of these Washington players to get good draft capital. And of course, landing spot and the all-world opportunity is what's going to make or break. But yeah, 2 Washington receivers, great season for all 3 of those cats on Washington, man. They really all going to be solid draft capital wide receivers as well. So, all right, my second player that's a little underrated, and we were going to do this show, Corey, probably 3-4 weeks ago, but we got busy, and here we are. But I want to talk about Jaylen Wright. He's probably not so much underrated anymore, but I put a scouting report out on this YouTube channel if you guys want to go check that out, where I kind of broke down his film. And exciting player, and with no like solid number 1 running back kind of consensus in this back, man. This running back class is just wide open, right? And I don't know. I think I'm a little higher maybe on Jaylen Wright than most, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I mean, he's 5'11", 210 pounds. He's a 3-year junior, so he's coming out after 3 years. So I don't know. Maybe he got some good news from the NFL that said they like what he brings to the table. But I think he fits the modern day what the NFL is looking for, right? I mean, he's 5'11", 210 pounds. He's got requisite size. You look at the career statistics here on the screen. I mean, he's had over 2,000 yards. He really only played 2 seasons. He didn't play his freshman year at Tennessee, so he really only played 2 seasons, averaging 6.4 yards a carry. I think he was over 7 yards a carry this year, and he really excelled in the passing game this year. 30 receptions, really over 2 seasons, 171 yards. And his PFF grades, looking on the screen here, are pretty solid all across the board. But I'll tell you what I really like about him, man. He has got acceleration. He's got speed. I think you were also talking on your podcast, Corey, about, he has the ability possibly to go down there at the combine right now and put on a show as far as speed. I mean, there's discussion and talk that he could be in the potential in the 4.3s. But I think he's got good lateral movement. I think he's got great contact balance. I mean, I've watched some other videos on him, and people are questioning his contact balance, man. But I don't know. I don't see it that way. I think he's got great contact balance, yards after the catch ability. He's got the, can string a couple cuts together. And I think he's a passable, a capable pass catcher too, which I really like. Is us in fantasy and dynasty, right? We want guys that can be, utilized out of the backfield. So, I mean, I think he lacks experience, is really only playing for 2 years. So, his vision and patience aren't the best. I mean, he seems to be a very patient runner as he approaches the line of scrimmage. And he can run upright at times where he can take, unnecessary hits. And that's something he's going to have to learn how to do, is really kind of get behind his pads and play a little better behind his pads. But he could potentially be an explosive playmaker. And right now on draftdatabase.com, he's 121st. So you're looking at like a day, a round 4 guy, day 3 running back. I think most of these running backs, if we see a round 2 running back, I think it's going to be really interesting to see who that is. I think it could be a myriad of people. Jonathan Brooks, I'm not sure. But I think most of these running backs are going to come off the board on round 3 and then round 4 as well. But Jaylen Wright, I like what I see, man. I think he is an explosive, and I'm not saying he's going to come out and be a starter. I don't think there's really any full-time starters in this class. I think everyone's going to be part of some sort of committee and shared backfield in the NFL. And that's just really the way it's going to be, I think, moving forward. A lot of running back, a lot of coaches out there want to, utilize 2 or 3 backs. I think if I ran a team, I think I'd want to do the same thing. It's a wear and tear kind of position. So Jaylen Wright, I'm pretty excited. I got him ranked, I think, number 3 right now in my overall running back ranks. If he goes down there and kills it at the combine and runs a good 40 and shows some good agility drills, I think he's got enough physicality to win at the NFL and at least be part of a solid backfield.
Yeah, and with the way like the running backs in this class are so close together, rankings are all over the place. You're looking like the combine can really be a place where some people start to separate somebody when they start seeing that speed and they get all starry eyed. And when he runs a 4.3, I mean, there's even some rumors out there about a 4.2 if he can hit like a 4.29 or something like that. I don't know if that'll happen, but I'm still dabbling with a numerical grade that I'm starting to work into my rookie process, and he's coming out as like a top 5 running back for me, which I was actually surprised at. But like I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing there too. So I totally agree with you. Heading to another guy that's coming out as a top 5 running back for me in this class. I'm into a guy that I think you love just as much as I did as a freshman. That's Marshon Lloyd, who's getting a little bit of love as well. Again, another guy that's starting to creep up a little bit, but still, I think he has some of the quickest feet in the class. Love the way he navigates traffic, but he suffered that torn ACL that really set his whole career back, right? It's really been an uphill battle for him to regain that pre-ACL form. There's been brief flashes at times when he was at South Carolina, but it just seemed like he didn't trust the knee fully or just wasn't really there physically during those 2 years at South Carolina. Then eventually transferred over to USC for his senior season. And he did share the backfield with Austin Jones over there, but he was easily the most impressive back on that team. Uber efficient, 7.1 yards per carry. That's second in the Power 5 for running backs with over 100 carries. Almost 4 yards after contact. So showed a little bit of play strength, even though, I don't think that's this game. I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to lay a big hit, but still showed a little bit of ability to push through some contact. He made some ridiculous plays where, he cuts against the grain. He's almost teleporting with his lateral agility. Like, he's very explosive off the ball. Doesn't lose much speed when he's stringing cuts together. I will say the one thing I don't like about his film was like there is a tendency there to keep wanting to work outside sometimes. Even there was opportunities for a cutback into the middle gaps where he routinely continued to kind of work outside. And I will say there's times I just think he's doing what he's coached to do. You see leverage, inside leverage from the defensive lineman. You're supposed to keep working outside, but it's those extra instincts, in my opinion, that make backs really special. The ability to find holes that aren't designed there or whatever. So I want to see a little bit more of that, but still, he still made some wild plays happen with that elusiveness, with that quick twitch ability. And when my co-host over on the Back to Devy podcast went down to the Senior Bowl this year, he raved about Marshon's ability as a receiver during practice, like saying there was some untapped potential in that area. Like he was surprised by the way he's running routes, the way he was catching the ball. Like, so I really think there's some untapped potential there in the receiving game as well. Came into 5'9", 217 pounds. Like that is a great size for him. I thought he was going to be more like 209, 208 or something. He comes in really thick right there. So I think there's some potential for a really strong role in an NFL backfield. And, Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network, his comparison for him is DeAndre Swift. And I think that kind of fits a similar mold of running back. Like your J.K. Dobbins, your Dalvin Cooks, Cam Akers before the injury, like that new modern kind of slasher running back. Like I think he kind of fits that. I don't know if the vision and instincts are there as much as some of those other guys, but still, in a weak running back class, he feels like an absolute steal in running in rookie drafts. I mean, you can get him in like the 3rd round most of the time. And I'm not sure if like the draft will change that. He's ranked like 133rd on the mock draft database, like we were talking about. I mean, like even as a mid to late 2nd round pick in your rookie drafts this year, I still might be in on that near the back of draft. So I like Marshon Lloyd as an underrated player this year.
Yeah, I like it too. My podcast co-host also went down to the Senior Bowl and said the same thing, that he excelled in those receiving drills. So that's good stuff. And as fantasy owners, that's what we want. We want our, he's going to be part of a committee too, just like Jaylen Wright, right? These two are kind of very similar,
That's
explosive
just the way the
players.
NFL operates nowadays. That's it.
That's right. So that's why you're going to draft a lot of wide receivers in your rookie draft.
Absolutely.
All right, there you guys got it, man. Those are our players that we are undervalued, that we think are a little undervalued, guys that we're going to probably target in our rookie drafts. So hopefully, for our sakes, Corey, they get the draft capital we want, and they get that all important landing spot that makes them and gives them the opportunity to get on the field. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Pleasure, Brandon.